Now let's talk about the second overview on the emotions. On clinical note, emotions become causes of disease only when they are either long-lasting or very intense. Each emotion stems from a psychic field that pertains to the relevant yin organ. This, in fact, explains why a certain emotion affects a specific organ. That particular organ already produces a certain psychic energy with specific characteristics that, when subject to emotional stimuli, responds to or resonates with a particular emotion. For example, an external stimulus resonates with the liver's psychic energy, giving rise to anger. Thus, emotions are not something that comes from outside the internal organs to attack them. The internal organs already have a psychic energy that turns into a negative emotion only when triggered by certain external circumstances. This figure shows us how external stimuli's conversion of the liver's mental energy into emotion. For example, why does anger affect the liver? If one considers the liver's characteristics of free, easy, and quick movement with a tendency for its chi to rise, its correspondence to spring when the powerful yang energy bursts outward and upwards, and its correspondence to wood with its expansive movement, it is easy to understand that the liver would be affected by anger. This emotion, with its quick outbursts, the rising of blood to the head that one feels when very angry, the destructive, expansive quality of rage mimics on an effective level the characteristics of the liver and wood outlined above. The same psychic and affective qualities of the liver that may give rise to anger and resentment over many years under normal circumstances are also harnessed and used for creative activities. The healthy counterpart of emotions will be considered further when each emotion is discussed in detail. In Chinese medicine, emotions as causes of disease are mental stimuli that disturb the mind or the shen, ethereal soul or the hun, and corporal soul po. And through these, they alter the balance of the internal organs and the harmony of qi and blood. For this reason, emotional stress is an internal cause of disease that injures the internal organs directly. On the other hand, this is a very important feature of Chinese medicine. The state of the internal organs affect our emotional state. For example, if liver blood is deficient, perhaps from dietary factors, and causes liver yang to rise, this may cause a person to become irritable all the time. Conversely, if a person is constantly angry about a certain situation or with a particular person, this may cause liver yang to rise. The spiritual axis in Chapter 8 clearly illustrates the reciprocal relationship between the emotions and the internal organs. It says, the heart's fear, anxiety, and pensiveness injure the mind. The spleen's worry injures the intellect. The liver's sadness and shock injure the ethereal soul. The lung's excessive joy injures the corporal soul. The kidney's anger injures the willpower. On the other hand, further on it says, if liver blood is deficient, there is fear. If it is in excess, there is anger. If heart chi is deficient, there is sadness. If it is in excess, there is manic behavior. These two passages clearly show that, on the other hand, emotional stress injures the internal organs, and on the other hand, disharmony of the internal organs causes emotional imbalance. The emotions taken into consideration in Chinese medicine have varied over the years. From a five-element perspective, the Yellow Emperor's Classic considered five emotions, each one affecting a specific yin organ. Anger affects the liver, joy affects the heart, pensiveness affects the spleen, worry affects the lungs, and fear affects the kidneys. Thank you for your attention.